I was able to get part 1 of this video out on Thanksgiving Day. That was the blade change. This is the ice depths video. I would like to preface this by saying I do not take ice depths often. As a community rink with 3 ice sheets operating from 6-ish in the morning to midnight-ish, I tend to gauge high spots and low spots based on how bright the paint is, where ice generally builds up quickly, and what the kick plates can tell me. But because I had all the time in the world, I decided to take 32 ice depths on Rink 3.
One thing I love about getting these ice depths is that it provides me with more storytelling tools for when I'm reading the ice aloud to the class. I'd like to begin by pointing out high spots. Over here, we have the corner I've previously identified as being problematic, but the high ice depth readings more or less emanate through this entire zone. So 2.3, 2.3, but then back here it's 2.5, 2.5, so the other high spot is right around in this corner. I guess I can draw them. So this corner, which I've identified as being a problematic corner. This corner, which I've previously identified as being deceptively high. I say that because I always feel like that corner looks high from a distance, but when you get close, you can see a little rust mark at the bottom of the kick plate. I'll attach a photo, not of this corner, but just of what I mean in general. Just a little brown from that bottom kick plate screw rusting. And my final high spot is the straightaway immediately following the Zam door here clockwise. I guess I could have started by giving you some orientation. This is our heaviest usage player door here. Player benches are down here. This is the Zam door. You've seen Rink 3. I'm pretty happy to report that these are all spots I have identified in the past. This 2.92 actually being shockingly high, considering that I know I've addressed it recently. But how about low spots? In front of the player benches, the ice levels are lower because of how much that spot gets skated on during games. So the player benches here, we've got the 1.42, 36, 25. These are all inches, by the way. The ice depth reading is from right in front of the most heavily used player door entrance up here. And I don't think 1.86 is shockingly low like a 1.25 is. However, when you're looking at getting into these corners, what else do we have? A 292, 267, 262, 236, 253. So this 186 is a bit of an anomaly, but that's our most high usage player entrance door. And the third anomaly I see, this is the least noticeable one, but 236 here does seem kind of low for a corner, especially a corner where coming out of it you get this 292. But with the Zam door right here, this threshold gets edged every single day. We keep it. It's the most intensively maintained part of all 3 of my ice sheets. Me and my staff work very laboriously to keep this level, but it pays off not having to lop away huge chunks of ice to get doors to shut and properly latch. It's safer and cleaner and quicker for those of us working with 10 minutes allotted for each resurface to intensively maintain your threshold to be level. So how about the maintenance plan? I was very boldly planning to take ice steps immediately before and after an intensive maintenance session, so I hit my highest spots with 3 offset edger passes. I outlined before, that's this corner, but I started over here because that's a 255. And then in front of my Zam door, this corner, and coming out here. So I've already underlined this one. And then my 2 offset passes areas are going to be these zones that I discussed briefly before. So kind of blue line to blue line and blue line to blue line. So in a spot like here or here where you can see I've already done 2 passes, that first one, the third offset, is going to be about 4 inches away from the boards. The next one is about 2 inches away. And then, as you may be able to hear me shouting momentarily, I grab my other edger with fresh batteries to do my final pass around the entire perimeter directly against the boards.
The edger guys haven't grabbed another one, but you don't need to see my final pass around. You saw all the targeted edging, so I'm just gonna grab you and go. Oh, you're coming with me. Whee! Uh-oh, where are we going?
Hopping on the Zam now, I'm going to do 2 cleanup passes. When I do more than 2 passes anywhere besides the Zamdor threshold with the edger, I will usually do 2 passes around the boards with my blade lifted 1 turn from its set point. I just don't want my machine to be unnecessarily stressed chewing through a high volume of ice. My second lap is offset by half the conditioner length. Now you'll see a familiar pattern. This is a perimeter pull of 4 offset laps. I did not do a 5th lap back against the boards. I figure I did one on my cleanup, and I'll do one on my clear coat. Whoa, what the? This isn't anything. Here I am just trying to dry shave ice out of the 2 zones that are high, but there's a maintenance pattern for that. It's called a roaming figure 8, and I do not drive it often. It was my night manager who reminded me that it's an option for dealing with high ice in the area of the creases. Here's an amateur sketch of how that looks. It's a roaming figure 8 because you only shift one direction. When I do a standard figure 8, I shift right of center. Then when I am running out of space, I hop to the left of center and shift that direction. Speaking of which, here's my figure 8. I'll make a note when I take my wide turn and begin shifting left. I have now completed my intensive edging and dry shaving plan, and I ambitiously decide to take ice depths from my creases again. Uh-oh. I wrestled a lot with how to proceed, and I decided that while I am absolutely a hack and a fraud, I'm not going to add liar onto my resume. Before I share my second set of ice depths with you, let me reframe everything from an amateur statistical perspective. My sample size was 2. Anything could have gone wrong during either my first or second round of taking ice depths, and I would not have any clear indications. Also, I made no attempt to standardize my ice depth locations, besides a rough grid outline in my head. The second time around, I probably drilled within a couple feet of my first ice depth log, but a lot can happen in the space of a couple feet, even just a change in elevation of the concrete footprint. Check it out. Intensively edging down and shaving this corner, built half an inch of ice. Pause the video if you want to inspect this further, but it's making me sad, so I'm moving on. Sorry I didn't pay more attention in AP Stats, Mr. Mace.
One more take. Because this one's going to be great. I'm just going to get this out of the way. I am reading off of a script on my computer placed directly in front of this camera. If it looks like I am looking down, I am. But here's the deal. I want to be the best at what I do. I want to improve each day. Data will allow me to advance past my current ability level. If I care enough to get here at 3 a.m. and film, then I care enough to get here at 3 a.m. and acquire good data. So here's how I'm going to proceed. I will clearly map out future ice depth locations to ensure that I am always taking my ice depths within an inch or 2 of the same spot. I will take 32 ice depths on Rink 3 on a weekly basis. I specify Rink 3 because Rinks 1 and 2 both have a sand base. Concrete allows me to drill anywhere safely, but with sand you can only drill onto preset ice depth plates. I was not working here at the time of these ice sheets being installed, and I do not have a map of ice depth plates. A few can be found, but not reliably enough for me to track it like I can with Rink 3. I've decided to apply the same weekly treatment to all 3 sheets while tracking ice depths for just Rink 3. I will make a maintenance calendar. It may change from month to month as I change variables and aim to hone in on a standard 1.5 inches all around, but I will apply a maintenance treatment each month to observe changes. This will be flushed out in the next video. Anyway, enjoy the clear coat.
It's possible this footage is unusable. Last time I determined I needed to point this camera down more, so I'm pointing it down more, even though what I can see in the preview screen doesn't look right. So, I reserve the right to scrap it. I'm so glad you're still here with me. Hello! I'm gonna stop this camera. Later, nerds. And this is when you find out you never hit record, right, Mur?